So, back with another one today, and we have actually got a lot more to discuss from the previous podcast because there have been some comments, some people's opinions, and I think it'll be interesting to just kind of like work on that. Plus, there's been a few more things that have come to light, apparently. So I think we should kind of discuss that. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to discuss today. Anything else you want to add before we get started on that?
How's your week been?
My week's been good.
You seem to be perkier this week.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm slowly on the mend, so I feel a lot better. My mood is definitely better.
I agree.
Yeah. So the podcast we did last week was quite popular. We've had a lot of comments on it, and it's been quite popular in terms of views. I mean, obviously, I can't compare it to anything. The podcast channel is obviously it's like a little baby compared to the other channels, but it still excites me when I see we get so many views on it.
It's the highest number of views than any other video we've done, so that was good going. So yeah, people are obviously interested in this.
And I think it's quite interesting too, to be fair.
What?
The whole situation, what's happened. And I tell you what, since the last podcast, I've been seeing some videos from other podcasters and also just general like content creators on TikTok and things. And it's pretty crazy. Everyone's got the same kind of like very similar view. I'm not seeing any videos from content creators or podcasters who are sitting there saying that they feel sorry for her. I have seen the odd kind of comment saying they feel sorry for her. I personally feel sorry for her, but I do feel like she's brought it on herself a little bit. So I don't think anyone should go through that, but I do feel like she is partly responsible for the naivety that she had towards that situation. But most of the videos that I've seen are people saying that they just can't get their head around the fact that it was 9 years that she was catfished for.
I think she was on the news in the UK.
Yeah.
Right? The news presenter, asked the same question.
What?
9 years. And she was like, well, it wasn't like... On the show, she made out, oh yeah, it's a full relationship. Who gets engaged online for a start? Right?
Yeah. Well, without seeing or speaking or anything to the person.
Not even met this person. Got engaged. So people are now asking her 9 years.
I mean, look, like it seemed like a pretty intense relationship from her side, for sure.
My friends watched it yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
And
sent me a message.
Let me guess, they were connecting it to you, Bobby, right?
They're like, oh, you're on Netflix. And I was like, yeah. I take my turban off when I ride my bike.
I was waiting for someone stupid to say something like connecting it to you just because of the name. But I do feel like there still is so much to discuss about it. And I think the reason why, I was thinking to myself, why do we want to discuss this again today? It's the same reason that everyone else is still creating videos or giving their opinion online, is because ever since they've seen this documentary, you get that initial kind of shock that, hold on a minute, what the hell was that? But then you let it sit and you let it kind of fester, and then you start having all these other questions come up. So since the last podcast, I've had other things that have kind of come up where I'm like, hold on a minute, this doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. If this is the case, then why did this happen? You know, when you just start thinking about something and you're like, hold on, it just doesn't, some of it just doesn't make sense to me.
All I do is keep seeing clips of it on TV, like on Instagram, of her like doing interviews and stuff. And then I saw it came up on YouTube, like a podcast or something that she did. And she's everywhere, trying to get sympathy. Same thing. She keeps saying the same thing, and everyone has the same question. Like everybody has the same response. 9 years, nearly a decade.
Yeah, we are seeing more of her obviously popping up, and I don't know if that's just generally the algorithm because we've seen it and we've watched a few videos and now it just keeps popping up or what, but it does seem to be the case that she is kind of going on all of these different interviews and everything. And look, I'm not trying to insinuate that maybe this is for her to get some level of fame or whatever you want to call it, or just a bit of a spotlight on her, because I don't think it's really the best way to get a spotlight on you or the best circumstances. But I just don't understand what the reason is for making it so public. I saw her on an interview yesterday and someone asked her, like, what do you hope to tell other people? What do you want to tell other women? Like, what do you want people to learn from this? Because otherwise, why would you have put it up on Netflix, right? The person who was interviewing her said, I assume it's because you want to obviously help women. So how do you think this can help women? And she said, well, I feel like this is something that people just don't think could happen. And I'd like them to know that this can happen and you should be careful of things like this. But that didn't make sense to me, because I'm thinking, well, I don't think anyone sits there and thinks this can't happen. People probably sit there and think, this can't happen for 9 years. I don't think there's this big thing about catfishing being such a crazy problem. I know that it is there and people do it, but I also think that people are quite switched on to figure it out.
Everyone knows there's scams going on everywhere. I'll get an email like 3 times a week from the bank. Phishing scam, this scam, what, be careful, be careful, be careful. Like, scams happen.
I understand that, and I do feel like maybe her putting this on Netflix may help certain people, but I don't know, I might personally be naive here, but I do feel that it's probably a minority of people that you're going to be helping, because I think most people are pretty switched on with the fact that catfishing exists, and do you want to check these kind of things? I mean, it's popular in the sense of what I've seen online, that there are clearly documentaries about catfishing in general, so it clearly is something that happens, but I just feel like it's a minority of people who actually fall for it. Because it's the same, as you said, it's the same as scams.
Yeah,
these things exist.
You've got to be extremely naive to go along with that for 9 years.
You know, the other thing that doesn't really sit well with me is that she said that she was messaging this guy at the beginning, and she also repeated a few times on different interviews that she's done, saying she's been very clear about the fact that it wasn't a relationship between them right from the beginning, right? It developed into a relationship. And at the beginning, it was just someone she knew of, and they ended up connecting online. And this is what doesn't make sense to me. She said that people knew him within the family, talking about Asian, like Indian communities, and how everyone kind of knows each other, and that the family knew of him, so she didn't think anything of it, that it must be fake. And it wasn't a relationship at that point. They were just talking as friends. They just connected. What didn't sit well with me, he was a married man at that point. Why are you talking to him for a start?
Wasn't she saying that he's going through a rough patch?
I don't know whether that was right from the beginning or what, but even if someone is married and they're going through a rough patch, why are you talking to the person? As a woman, that doesn't put you in the greatest light. So you know that the person you're talking to online is struggling in their marriage, and you continue to speak to them, and you say to them things like, I'm here for you. That to me is like a red flag all over.
No, I agree with that.
So some people are saying, should you even feel sorry for her? Because
I don't feel sorry for her at all. Whether she approached a married man or whatever, I've got zero sympathy for her. So I know I'd say that. If I ever met her, I'd be like, sorry, 9 years. I'll get in 9 minutes, maybe, okay? 9 years.
I don't know, it's very strange. This is the thing, all we can go on is what we've seen.
I don't wake up today and think, oh, do you know what, I've got a cousin now. I'm going to
randomly
catfish him. I'm going to make 60 people up.
There was some real level of effort.
Yeah. Right, so it's like, you must have really annoyed someone or done something. Like, our mum's like, oh, I want to know what, Simran, why did you do this to Keita? Oh, I want to know as well.
Okay, but let's be honest. It isn't just a case that people do these things if the person has done something to them. It could be that she just generally does not like Kira. Kira annoys her, irritates her, it could be anything. And she's just decided she really doesn't like her. I'm going to do something and try and put her in her place or have some level of control over her. It could be something along those lines. I have no idea. And like I said, we can only go by whatever Kira has decided via Netflix and via her interviews to put forth, so that we can all base our opinions on that. I don't think that she really thought about how this could backfire on her.
No, and even catfishing, what I understood the term to be was somebody pretending to look a certain way when they don't look a certain way in order to try and, like, in the dating scene. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know, like, I only take a photograph like this much of my head, and then everything underneath is like, I'm a mess. And then I portray myself to be this bodybuilder, and then I turn up and I'm obviously obese.
Oh, you thought it was that?
Yeah, what is it?
It's when someone is pretending to be someone else.
So then when you meet them, then obviously you know. How does that work?
But this is why a lot of people have these kind of relationships online.
So, yeah, but as soon as you meet a person...
Not all of them actually meet. Like, there's this whole documentary that took place.
Worse and worse. What?
This whole documentary. There's a documentary on, I can't remember if it's Netflix or what, but I saw, and it's about catfishing, and it came out years ago, and it was about people who meet people online, same as this, and they found out that the person wasn't even...
Yeah, but so they don't even meet?
No. So there's a lot of people like this who get into relationships.
It's not a relationship, is it?
No, but they think it is a relationship.
Well, it could be AI. It could be anything.
Now it could be, but back then it was people using other people's
no.
photos.
Like, that's just ridiculous.
So a lot of people have commented, that question that I put forth, which was, do you think what the reasons are that Simran did this, right? Now, again...
The question you put forth.
What?
Oh, my English is so grammatically right. The question that I put forth.
And why are you taking a mick when it actually is? I actually have used it before.
All right, okay.
The question that I put forward earlier, which was that, what do you think, what the reasons are that Simran may have done this, right? I know all you can do is speculate. And obviously we haven't heard Simran's side, and I don't know if we ever will. But that's all we have to go on, whatever Kirat has laid out for everyone to watch and listen to. So the reason I asked that question was because there's a lot of people on TikTok, videos, people are leaving their opinions. They cannot believe that Simran managed to pull this off.
Her ability to scheme someone for 9 years.
Well, she became VP of a big bank, didn't she?
Well,
so...
yeah. So she's
not stupid. I mean, she's managed to do all of it. What I
She managed to do her job and this on this is her side job.
She started this before she got to that position, clearly. So she...
No, you don't know. You could have been running side by side.
No, this is when she was younger. This was when she was at school, apparently. It started when she was at school. What my point is she did all of this. How did she get such good grades while she's doing all this to be able to land the job that she ended up getting? I just can't get over the fact that she managed to do that.
Look, my opinion on all of this is that it's bad, right? Whatever's happened, to scam, you shouldn't scam other people, right?
Yeah.
I get all of that. But equally, for 9 years, you're falling for the same thing over and over and over again. To make it worse, there's somebody in your family that's done it to you. Like, come on.
I reckon that's more common than we'd think, to be honest. Most people just don't make it such a big thing. They don't continue for something like this for 9 years, and it could be in different ways. But it's like they say, isn't it, that sometimes the people who really don't wish well on you are people who are either within your family or close to you that you know.
Yeah, but I get bored of a TV show in half an hour. Did she have her, like, that gripped into the whole thing where she carried on for 9 years? Can you imagine watching the same show for 9 years?
I mean...
Every day.
I just think that right from the beginning, when she started talking to this person that she thought was Bobby, the fact that he initially said, I'm struggling in my marriage and I've got problems, why would you not walk away immediately? Even if for that one conversation you believed this was who they're saying they are, why would you not leave that conversation immediately? And her reasoning is that, yeah, but people in the family knew who he was. How did everyone in the family and the community that she's talking about know of this person so well, yet no one's seen him around?
No, hang on. She saw him in a club in Brighton and he didn't know who she was.
That was a red flag immediately.
Right. So, and even after that, she carried on.
Yeah.
Right. So I bump into someone who I've been talking to and they act like they don't know me and I carry on talking to them. Come on. I can't believe we're so disgusting. Like, I think we've got to the bottom of this.
Okay, so we've got some questions from the previous podcast. Let's go through a few of those. Another great chat, guys. I saw the documentary last night and I felt so bad for Kirat because she wanted to be a wife and a mother so bad that she threw all of her common sense out of the window.
Correct.
She gave up her show, lost weight, and basically became obsessed with trying to fulfill what her family wanted for her. And I believe it was revealed that her own cousin did it to her. And that being of the same culture, she knew that getting married was such a big thing and she knew that the family would look down upon her, and maybe that was her cousin's goal all along. I'm Mexican-American, and within the Mexican culture, having a big family is everything, and having 2 or 3 kids is not enough. Having at least 6 or 7 kids is ideal. I caught myself sending pics of my baby girl clothes to my daughter, hinting that it would be so nice if I had a granddaughter, when in fact I have 3 beautiful grandsons. I had to realise that I was doing what my mother did and basically stay in my lane. Cultures can be very demanding and sometimes strain family dynamics. Also, I'm glad Nico had a blast at the new place. He's such a sweetie.
I think it's our responsibility to break cultural norms that aren't doing anybody any good.
Very true.
You got to understand, right? So Indians, like generations ago, used to have big families so that they could look after them when they get older, right? The world's not the same. Plus, back then, like my granddad, right? He's one of 11. So my great grandma had 11 kids, like 10 sons and 1 daughter. Like,
Wow.
imagine that now.
Yeah.
Imagine us with 11 kids.
No, I really can't.
How do you take them anywhere?
Yeah, I know.
Like, you have to buy a bus.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I mean. So back then, things used to happen like that. So over time, people are having less and less children, which is fine. Cost of having children has obviously gone up. Like, if we had kids, I wouldn't expect them to look after me when I'm older.
Same. I wouldn't
Right.
expect that.
And this is what I mean. You've got to break cultural norms. Okay, just because generations ago that was the done thing doesn't mean that it is now.
I think when families emigrate, they have to understand that they have to leave some part of the culture behind, because you can't emigrate to a new country, a new culture, which is the majority wherever you are going. It's not going to be the culture that you're used to from the country that you've come from, and then expect for everything to run the way it did, or it still may do, back in the country that you come from.
Yeah.
So you have to, something has to give. If you want to be able to move to another country which has nothing to do with your culture, and the culture is very different, you're going to have to adapt a little bit.
I don't even think people in India, unless...
Not now, I think it's
unless
quite modern now.
Yeah, like the poverty-stricken parts, I think they do.
Yeah.
I think, like the slums and stuff, I think they have multiple children because they still have that belief that the children are going to look after them.
Yeah.
But the ones who are educated and have got jobs and are doing well are now thinking, well, do I need to have 11 kids?
Yeah.
So I think that's changed in India as well.
Yeah. So next one, the topic on marriage and family expectations was super interesting. I have a lot of Indian and other Asian colleagues and friends, and the pressure of getting married and having kids is something a lot of them seem to have. I was born and raised in Ireland and moved to the UK on my own, but my family is ethnically Asian. However, they were less about family and more about money stroke career. My whole family is also divorced, had affairs, other kind of broken craziness, and my household was too toxic. So I grew up with a negative view of marriage and family that I chose to just focus on my career. So I am in my 30s and now single, mostly out of fear of relationships. It also means I am distant towards my parents. So the desire to not disappoint them does not exist for me, as I rarely, if ever, speak to my family at all. However, it is interesting to learn that if you have a loving, normal family, the desire to not disappoint one's parents can exist in the background, even if they don't say anything. I never was able to feel that way, so I wasn't aware of that concept. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's like if you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Exactly, and hopefully that goes to show you, that it's never really an ideal situation. I think there's always something that you're going to feel, no matter what side of it you're coming from.
I think parents naturally put that pressure on kids anyway, whether it be for marriage or grades or... Like, they'll always want the best for you. So you can't also blame parents because that's their job. They're trying to raise children, but then equally there comes a point where you have to let your child decide what path and route is correct for them. So, you can only manage it to a certain point. After that, the child is now deemed an adult.
Yeah.
So let them make their own decision and mind up. And then equally, if that child who has now turned into an adult makes a decision that has bad consequences, it's on the kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I it's a tough one because you can't blame parents either.
Yeah.
They want the best for their kids, but it's that fine line of wanting the best and then applying pressure to... Like, she clearly had pressure on her, which has caused this.
Yeah.
So that's too much pressure.
Yeah, true. This is a thing, and unfortunately, it affects everyone differently. Some people, whether you like it or not, are weaker, and it affects them in a certain way that may make them more naive or weaker in situations, and it will affect other people slightly different. This is the thing, you just don't know how it's going to affect.
Yeah, but even like being married to someone, like, you could pick a partner who's going to make your life a misery.
Yeah.
So you've literally ticked the box because you've had the pressure from your family, but then you spend the rest of your life miserable.
Yeah.
Let's say you do find someone who does make you miserable. That's your fault.
Because you've decided to prioritise other things.
Like, your parents can only tell you so much as well, before you start pushing back.
I agree. I think choosing your partner is one of the most important decisions you're going to make, because that is who you are going to be with for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
You
that will
can't
make or
choose that
break.
person. Like you said, you can't choose that person based on if your parents are going to like them or if it fits in with what you think your parents' expectations are.
Yeah, that will either make or break you.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking from experience as well.
Yeah. So, next question. Thank you for yet another great conversation. The part when you talked about Indian parents resonated with me because my partner is Indian, born and raised in Abu Dhabi, by the way. So, I'm familiar with the relationships between parents and kids and their expectations. But the thing is that this pressure of getting married by a certain age, having kids, etc., is unfortunately present in many cultures. On another note, could you please talk about your experience moving to Abu Dhabi? What obstacles did you face, cultural and otherwise, and how did you manage to assimilate? Firstly, we don't live in Abu Dhabi, we live in Dubai. Abu Dhabi is great, by the way. I love it there. It is really nice. But we
So
live
just to
in
yeah,
Dubai.
okay, yeah. So just to explain, because a lot of people don't understand this, right? Dubai isn't a country,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of people who come here think Dubai is a country. It's not.
Yeah.
So we are living in the United Arab Emirates, just like you get the United States of America,
Yeah.
right? So the United States of America is built up of multiple states that make the country United States of America. So we live in the United Arab Emirates, which is built up of 7 emirates, which you can call 7 states.
Yeah.
So Abu Dhabi is one state within the United Arab Emirates, and Dubai is another state within the United Arab Emirates. So yeah, it's the same country, but we live in a different state. So it's like living between like Texas and New York, different states.
Yeah.
But the country's the same. So my experience moving here was great.
Yeah.
I think it's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Obstacles, initially language barriers,
Yeah.
dealing with the government, like setting stuff up. So you need to find an intermediary to help you do all of that stuff because it was still, when we moved here, pretty,
Difficult.
yeah, like in terms
Very
of,
easy now.
yeah, now it's not. Now it's so simple.
Yeah.
And very, like, there's apps, there's a lot of stuff in English, so I remember moving here, like, all our contracts had to be written in Arabic.
Yeah.
We had to send them off. So it's that, I think they still do that, but it's a lot easier now.
Yeah.
So I guess now, like, with the number of people that turn up into the country, I think it must be very easy now to come and settle in. So culturally, well, the Arabs and Indians are pretty similar.
The culture is very similar. It's very family orientated.
Yeah, very religion focused.
Yeah. And
So
I don't think that's been an obstacle for us because of the similarities.
yeah,
I would say if it would be more of an obstacle for the Indian culture to try and settle in with the Western culture than what it is trying to settle in with the Arab culture.
yeah.
So
I feel like we've done a
It's-
full 360.
yeah.
Like, say our parents moved from the Indian culture, moved to the West, and now coming back here is kind of like, okay, you see how important religion is to people. You see how often they pray. They've got a certain strictness. I think the strictness I really like.
I like that too, yeah.
So I like the rules and I like the order.
I like the focus on right and wrong.
Yeah, like I know the West is all about freedom and freedom of speech, but I don't feel like I don't feel like I say anything that I can't.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to get drunk day in, day out, take substances that are illegal and all that kind of stuff, this place isn't for you. I don't want to do that stuff. I don't even want to see people doing that stuff. I don't want to be around people doing that stuff. So that's why it works well.
If you want to live a straightforward life,
Yeah.
and not a life of crime,
Yeah.
it's pretty straightforward.
So, interesting question next. What are each of your love languages and how do you make sure you use that information to keep each other happy and content? Love your videos, by the way.
What the hell is a love language?
Do you not know what a love language is?
Love language?
Love language. Love.
Yeah, you said love.
Did I say love?
Yeah, do you know what a love language is?
I said love. Love language.
No, what the hell's that?
All right, let me just I know what it is, but I know I'm probably not going to explain it.
Love language?
Right. Yeah.
Speak English?
No, babe, it's not that.
What is a love language? What are these words, man? Catfish, love language, ghosting.
So basically, there are various different love languages. You've never heard this term?
No.
Okay. It's about figuring out, like, what is it? What's your, like, everyone will have their own love language. Mine is words and touch, I would say. So let me explain this to you.
What a question.
So love languages are a concept for relationships that state each person has a specific way they prefer to feel and express love. You know, sometimes we've discussed in the past and you said that's not my way of showing love. Like, your way of showing love isn't always telling me constantly, right?
Definitely
So
not.
your love language might be you do certain things for me. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's certain things that you might do for me.
Right.
That is your way of showing that you love me.
Okay.
There's certain things that you might say to me that maybe is your way to show me that you love me. Like, one person might be different to someone else. There are different, like, love languages. So let me explain the 5 love languages, right? And it doesn't mean it has to be out of these 5. It could be anything else. But the most common one is words of affirmation, which is a verbal expression. So you telling me, oh, I love you.
I don't do that.
You do tell me you love me.
Yeah, but not like, that's not, I wouldn't say my, like, I kind of get the gist of this.
Okay, let me tell you the other ones and you can figure out what yours is. Quality time, so giving a partner undivided attention. Physical touch, finding connection through things like hugs. I don't know, it could be anything like that, holding hands. Acts of service, thoughtful and selfless acts that can make the other person's life easier.
Tick. Me.
Receiving gifts, receiving tangible tokens of thoughtfulness and love. Those are the 5 most common ones, but it doesn't mean it has to be just those. So mine, I would say, is definitely touch. I'd say words of affirmation and gifts.
Okay, got it. So what? So now mine to you.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what's your love language?
Doing the selfless acts to show you.
No, like, you're telling me what your love language is, not what
What
you
I
do
do
for
to
me.
you.
No, I'm not asking you what you do for me. What is your love? What makes you feel loved? So when I said mine is words, touch, and gifts, those are things that make me feel loved. So I'm asking, that's my love language.
Okay.
It's got nothing to do with what I give you. So now I'm asking you, what is your love language?
Are you sure that's how it works?
Yeah. What's your love language?
Not how you show love.
No, this is what your own love language is. What makes you feel loved?
You.
That's so sweet. That is really sweet. That's actually so sweet, babe. No, but I'm asking you, like...
I don't know how to answer this.
Okay, so what makes you feel loved? Words? Touch? Gifts? Anything like that?
Gifts don't.
Yeah, I know that doesn't. That's definitely not your love language.
Well, buying me stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Selfless acts, so thoughtful stuff that I do for you.
Yeah, I'd say that.
I think that's your love language.
Yeah. Like if I like stuff that gets done for me without me asking for it.
That's your love language.
Yeah. Like so you could just make me a cup of tea.
And
That would show me.
that I love you.
Yeah.
Okay, and words? Well, I tell you a lot that I love you.
I know you do. I know you do.
But doesn't really do anything, babe?
No.
Am I just spitting out these things?
No,
and it doesn't...
I let you do it because I think that's your way of expressing how you feel.
Not just expressing, but also kind of indirectly asking for it back.
I know, I do that. Gifts don't do anything for me.
So, touch. Don't tell me my hugs don't mean anything.
That I think I'm quite tactile.
Yeah, so that's good. So we have...
2 things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm tactile, and yeah, the stuff that you do, like you could put my lunch in for me or something like that. I'd be like,
So
oh.
she asked, how do we do this for each other then? So I would say I can only speak for what I get from you, right? I can't speak for what I do from you because I don't know what it is that I do that might make you feel loved. What I feel that you do that makes me feel loved is kind of like sometimes you have these selfless acts that you do. So you might like suggest going somewhere that you know that I like, or you might suggest getting a certain takeout that you know that I like, or you'll suggest certain things that you know that I personally love. And that to me is like, that's you showing that you care for me. And also when you buy me stuff, like if you randomly buy me something, that is like, it makes me so happy. I would say those are the things that I feel like I get from you. What about you?
It could just be something small, making me a cup of tea. Like if I'm working and you've like come into the office with a cup of tea. That makes you feel loved.
That's good. That's good to know.
But don't buy me anything. That doesn't show me love.
What about when I bake you stuff?
If you bake me stuff that I like, yeah.
Which I did last week.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Because that's not really my choice. We have another one here, which is not really a question, but just a comment about the previous podcast. This is from Nancy. Kieran obviously had deep-rooted problems even before the catfishing. Let's consider that it's previously languished in an 18-year relationship that went nowhere. And someone's replied to her comment with thank you. Clap hands. Because she was in a relationship for that long prior.
What happened then after that was that she went into 9 years of being catfished. I'd love to meet her.
Yeah.
Okay, so when this happened, then what do you think?
So
when you went to Brighton and you met him in the club, like, because they didn't ask that, or they might have done and they've edited it out.
Yeah.
All right, so you met this guy in Brighton, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you go up to him? Yeah. What happened? Oh, he acted like he didn't know me. Okay, then what did you do then?
She thought he was just a bit drunk.
What? How drunk do you have to be to not know someone?
Someone said, I felt for her dad. You could tell that he feels guilty for not knowing and could have saved her this heartbreak. He was such a sweet face.
Well, I think
it's almost like everyone knew there's something not right about this, so we're not going to tell dad.
The adult generation don't understand catfishing. Your mum watched the whole show and she was like, how did she know he was in hospital?
It's very difficult to understand, though, especially for people like in our parents' generation. They're like, Cat, what the hell is that? Basically, guys, we've obviously got a family group chat. I put in the group chat, guys, who's watched this yet? No one had watched it. And usually all of these guys have, like, my siblings have all watched it, like, before us. And they're like, no, we haven't watched it. Don't tell us what happens. I said, can you guys get on it and watch it so that we can actually discuss this show? And Mum watched it first. She was like, oh, Nina, I watched it last night. She goes, but I don't think anyone else has, so I'm not going to say anything. And I was like, okay. Anyway, the rest of them watched it. All of a sudden, the group chat kicks off. Everyone's talking about what the hell is going on. My brother, exactly the same opinion as you. To be fair, everyone's opinion was the same.
And Rish.
Yeah, everyone's opinion was the same, including Rish. My mum could not understand what was going on with this show. All of us had to basically break it down and explain what had happened. So people of our parents' generation,
they don't get it.
They don't understand it, and I don't blame them.
So that's what I mean. Like her parents, I feel sorry for them, right? Both of them, her mum and her dad, because they don't understand what was going on. They're probably not even on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? Or if they are, they've got a profile to connect with.
He was chatting with the mum.
I don't think she understands the ins and outs of how to create multiple profiles, right? So like our parents' generation, fine, they don't understand what catfishing is, and you know, it's like a big thing that's very weird for them. That doesn't detract from the fact that they've put pressure on her to get married.
No.
Right, so let's okay, fine, we feel sorry for them that.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, this has happened to their daughter, but equally, how much pressure have you put on your kid for her to desperately want to get married?
I think it was partly pressure from parents and partly her really wanting it a bit too much, to be honest. I just feel like you have to be... I just feel like it's so important to have time on your own with no partner whatsoever to figure out who you are as a person. Someone else has commented, Simran has catfished 2 people before Kira. This is revealed in the podcast based on this situation. It's called Sweet Bobby Podcast. I found out so much more from listening to that and then watching the Netflix documentary. Simran's friends noticed when she was in high school, she had Facebook. Underneath her posts were people commenting. These people were fake accounts who were made in the same year that this was happening, so she knew exactly what she was doing. Also, what she was posting, they were not even her pictures. She took them with Google. They asked her why she was doing it and she didn't answer. So that's obviously in the main podcast, which I haven't actually listened to. We only have information from one source.
And that's, I never ever believe information just from a single source.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's always another side to the story.
Exactly.
Which I'd love to hear.
Someone's laughing so much at the short that I put up of, do you remember when we were talking about how you were watering a fake plant? Someone's laughing at it.
Get over it.
I'm just seeing this short and I can't stop laughing out loud. Only us women can relate to how these manly men are so defensive when busted. Lol.
Get over it. I'll joke.
Love you, Bobby. Nina, never stop the banter. It's everything. Someone's commented on my banter as opposed to your banter.
What your one joke that you've ever told? That
It
you
was
just,
great. It was great. I think we can move on from the Sweet Bobby discussion now,
thank God.
unless anything, and there are any
No,
new developments.
No, we don't need to discuss this anymore. I'm
Listen,
done
the
with
only
it.
time we're going to discuss this again is if Simran comes out and gives her own side of the story or something else happens. We're all done today then.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going to see you next time. I don't even know if we did a welcome to minding our business. I don't think we did.
No, we didn't.
I'm going to have to just whack that on the screen at the beginning. I'm sure it's already gone up as you're watching this. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. And subscribe. That would really help us out with the algorithm as well. So anyway, guys, see you on the next video.
See ya. Bye.